I think that I'm glad she's resigning. I'm glad she's no longer going to be the head of the Secret Service. I wish she had been fired because, I mean, we need to change the culture of that organization. There were so many. This was a catastrophic failure to protect the former president and, quite frankly, also the leading candidate to be the next president. And she had the most abysmal performance that I'd ever seen. And not just my 4 years in Congress, but the most abysmal performance I've ever seen in front of a congressional committee in the 30 years since I've been a nerd watching C-SPAN in my 20s.
Do you think that the Secret Service will not actually make any changes if she is just basically able to resign, walk away, or do you think she will be called in for more questioning because she was the head of the agency that was responsible for the security of a president who was almost killed?
Dana, you make a good point. I mean, she is part of that puzzle for sure to continue to ask certain questions. I mean, she's the head of the Secret Service. She didn't visit the Butler site ever. She's never been there. That's remarkable to me. And she also said, I asked her, did she talk to that team that protected the president that day? It took her 3 days to do that. I mean, these are inexcusable failures. Also, the federal agents on site that day were not sharing the same communication lines as state and local police. We've got to, again, change the culture of that organization to make sure that all of our protectees are actually, get this, protected.
No, I don't get it. I mean, Johnson just called it outrageous and inexcusable yesterday. I don't understand. Well, why do you show up and go through that for 5 hours and the next day you step aside? And you're right, sir. The fact that she has not been to the site and was going to appear before members of Congress, it just smells. And I think the country deserves more and better.
Bill, you're right, and it's wholly inadequate. I recreated the shooting in Savoy, Texas on Saturday with a AR, with a red dot scope and a magnified scope, because they still haven't told us what scope he was using, from 130 yards at 6:30 at night, and I hadn't shot that AR in 6 years, and 15 out of the 16 shots were kill shots. So it is an absolute miracle President Trump is alive today. It is, I mean, thank the Lord.
Do not take your blindfolds off. Do not.
Take your goddamn blindfold off! Holy moly, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, okay. Things go slowly, and then it all happens very, very quickly. Right now, breaking news from minutes ago, Kimberly Cheadle, disgraced Secret Service director, gone, resigned yesterday. Tar and feathering, public beatings, bipartisan unanimity. I haven't seen that in years, maybe ever, where even Democrats were asking real questions of her. They did the most disgraceful display we've ever seen. And now she has resigned. Now is she going to be criminally charged? Don't worry. Dog's got a bone on the show. Nancy Mace is going to join us today live. Nancy Mace asking the best questions yesterday, along with her colleagues MTG, Anna Paulina Luna, and some other really remarkable series of questions from Democrats of all places. Even AOC landing some chin music from behind the bar. Can't believe what's going on right now. We'll cover all of it today. And did Joe Biden have a stroke? Yeah. Yes. Joe Biden had a stroke. We're going to show you the evidence. I'm going to show you the video. And we're going to ask you to decide. But there is reporting right now on the ground that Joe Biden in Las Vegas suffered a miniature stroke, and this would explain so much. We haven't seen Joe Biden. Nobody knows where Joe Biden is. We haven't seen or heard anything from him. Yet the guy's dropped out of the 2024 race. What's going on with Joe Biden? We're gonna ask, and we're gonna find out. Something horrible has actually happened to Joe Biden. We'll cover it all today. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Make sure you are locked into our programming, because we are witnessing remarkable moments right now. You don't want to miss this, okay? Again, there are years when nothing happens, and then there are days and weeks when years happen, and we are living in those days and weeks. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Make sure you are locked in with your investments as well, because trying times and up and down with the way that things go and what they're trying to do right now, it could send the stock market cratering or straight up. You never know. So it's best to probably bet your future on something that is dependable. Go to my friends at Allegiance Gold. Make sure that you are locked in, ladies and gentlemen, on your investments. Make sure that you are setting up your family for success. Have you seen the price of gold lately? Have you been listening to your boy Benny? Lock in early, okay? And make sure that you reap the benefits of the chaos that is being sown across the country. In trying times, in times of war, people buy precious metals, and they do that because, well, ladies and gentlemen, they hold their value, and I think you should check it out. My friends at Allegiance Gold can set you up. Right now, get $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Go to protectwithbenny.com today. Protectwithbenny.com today. Call 844-66-BENNY. Protectwithbenny.com today. Cheadle is gone, ladies and gentlemen. Kimberly Cheadle, I guess 9 days too early, too late. Kimberly Cheadle, after Donald Trump got shot in the head, after great American patriots lost their lives under her reign of terror and dysfunction and DEI, Kimberly Cheadle is now gone. We speculated yesterday that the reason that Kimberly Cheadle is gone is because, the reason she wasn't resigning is because Joe Biden is incapacitated. And we're going to tie those stories together today. Get ready. We're going to go in and we're going to show you the evidence that something horrible has happened to Joe Biden. And that he's a Muppet right now. That Jill Biden's in charge, that Jill Biden is actually signing executive orders, even though she's not a constitutional officer. That it's not even Joe Biden's signature on his little resignation letter. Yeah, we'll wait and see. And then, of course, there was a very strange event yesterday where Joe Biden called in to talk to Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris nearly said it was a recording. So what's going on with Joe Biden? We'll wait and see. Somebody hold up can Joe Biden hold up a photo holding today's newspaper? Can he present? Can Joe Biden show us that he's alive? Hold up the front page of today's New York Times right now. Joe Biden, please. So we speculated that because of the president's incapacity, Kimberly Cheadle wasn't able to resign because there was no one to appoint a new director of the Secret Service. And what do they have planned for Joe Biden in the future? We'll wait and see. Will Joe Biden be able to serve out the next 100 days that we have before the presidential election? And then what happens? Ooh, baby. We're going to jump in and explain all of it. Yesterday, you've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was a full-blown beatdown of Kimberly Cheadle in Congress. Kimberly Cheadle is somebody who deserved every second of this. Now, there is something very strange. Something doesn't smell right about what Cheadle did yesterday. Because what it seemed like was that she was going to be... What it seemed like was she was a sacrificial lamb that was dragged out before Congress and was instructed to not answer any questions, not give any evidence, not present any data about the failures. And the amount of evidence that is piling up that makes no sense about this shooting, just off the top of my head. How did a 20-year-old evade the most prestigious security force and protection force in the country? Why were there multiple snipers that were looking directly down on Thomas Crooks's position and didn't fire a shot? Who gave the stand down order? Why was the D team, F team, Lady Ghostbusters in charge of Donald Trump's security detail that day? These weren't even Secret Service agents. It's an insult to the Secret Service to call them Secret Service agents. They were using Department of Homeland Security investigative services. Yeah, so Melissa McCarthy figure, that's not a Secret Service agent. Why was there no communications? Apparently, according to yesterday's hearing, Kimberly Cheadle, who it is my earnest and honest opinion that Cheadle was being dragged out there in order to just take the blood. She was already she's already metaphorically, politically a dead man walking, and she was taken out there to absorb the barrage, knowing that she was going to resign the next day and that they could have a stopgap to not answering these questions. Questions like, how many bullet shells were on the roof? No, nobody knows. The entire place has been scrubbed by the FBI. Everything's been cleaned up. You'd think it'd be an active crime scene and they'd lock the place down. But members of Congress are up on the roof taking videos being like, how didn't a sniper shoot this guy? The sniper nest for the Secret Service was right above Thomas Crooks. There was a sniper position literally to watch him army crawl for 30 straight minutes to get into position to shoot a bullet into the head of a president, killing one of his supporters, killing an American. Who the hell cares? They killed another American, injured 3 others so severely that they're fighting for their lives right now. How did it happen? Why was that building carved out of the security zone? Oh, well, now we have breaking news that there was supposed to be a Secret Service agent stationed up on the building. Secret Service agent went inside the building because it was too hot, according to Josh Hawley's information. So much information is breaking right now. So much news is breaking right now. It's hard to keep up with it. So all these questions got asked. I mean, I was really proud of Congress yesterday. Maybe the first time in my adult life that I've been proud of Congress. You all watched. We had millions of people watching with us yesterday. Maybe my first time that I was proud of Congress was yesterday, as I watched both sides just bludgeon Kimberly Cheadle. The real question is this, and I'm going to play you this clip from MTG because it's so good. You're going to hear the whole thing because you got to hear it, and then I want to play you Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace went totally thermonuclear viral yesterday on our social media. Something like, I don't know, 50,000 reposts of the tweet. I'm gonna play you the best of yesterday really quickly, and then we're going to get into Joe Biden's stroke and what happened with Joe Biden. There is a now confirmed medical emergency that is not COVID that happened to Joe Biden, and we have the proof for it right now. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden, Kimberly Cheadle, and the full connection to yesterday, as Kimberly Cheadle metaphorically takes the political bullet for the failures of this assassination attempt. How deep does it go? And this is the real question. This is the only question that we feel like it is important to start the show with. Who gave the stand down order? Who said don't shoot the assassin? We have the video. Can you believe, grab me that Eli Crane video, ALX. If we don't have it, grab it for me. You have to see it because there's one single piece of video. It's got to be in the script, right? There's one single piece of video that you must see to prove the conspiracy. It's unspeakable. Here you go. I got it right here. Eli Crane is a Navy SEAL sniper. All right? This is who's filming this right here. Okay? So I'm going to show you this. Eli Crane is a Navy SEAL sniper. He's a member of Congress. You should trust Eli Crane. You should trust the man who's filming this, okay? There's not some crackpot, not some crazy person. What you are seeing here is not Thomas Crooks' position. What you're seeing, and this is the proof of a government conspiracy to kill Donald Trump, I'm telling you. What you're seeing is the view of the Secret Service sniper nest inside of the building, the manufacturing plant, looking at Thomas Crooks' position. You see the iconic red barns there, and I only say iconic because they're in the video of Trump's assassination, and obviously this is where the Secret Service was stationed, that famous sniper team. What you're looking at here, I'll play you the whole video, what you're looking at here is where the other Secret Service sniper team was. This is where Thomas Crooks crawled up the building, right there on your screen. This is where he crawled up. And this is where he shot President Trump from, right there. And this window inside of this office, I'll let the clip play here, this was the office where apparently the Secret Service was set up with a sniper. You don't get a better shot than this. Alex, get me the video of Thomas Crooks crawling across the roof with the MAGA supporters with the Trump people being like, there's the sniper. Ladies and gentlemen, why didn't this person take the shot? Now you have it confirmed from a Navy SEAL sniper and a member of Congress. This was the event. You can't. Duck hunts, the first level of duck hunt, is harder than this shot to take out Thomas Crooks. Now we have it confirmed. So I'm dog with a bone. We'll have like a 3-hour show today. There's so much news that has broken about this. This stinks to high heaven. There's a rat. Something happened. It's one thing to show you the photo of the agents on the barn. You see the barn right there? There were the agents up on the barn, right? You saw those guys. You can see them when Trump was shot. You know, they move backwards. They get their sight up. There was a sniper with this view looking at Thomas Crooks on that rooftop. Holy moly. If you need to hear from the good member of Congress, Eli Crane, again, Nancy Mace will be joining our program soon. If you need to hear from Eli Crane, then here we go. This is the member of Congress, former Navy SEAL, standing on the assassin's nest here, standing where Thomas Crooks made the shot and hit President Trump and killed other members of the Trump rally, other people at the Trump rally. Here's what the congressman had to say.
Up here on the building where the supposed sniper took his shot. It's not that steep at all. We just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me, you see the windows that,
see that?
Secret Service was supposedly in the second floor of this building behind. Makes you wonder why they weren't able to quickly dispatch the individual. And then behind me, back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the stage was set up. That's where the president was giving his speech from. A lot of questions here in Butler, but we look forward to doing oversight and getting to the bottom of it and making sure.
So this is the member of Congress. This is where the videos come from. Just to give you some perspective here, check this out. Here's the rally.
There he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof with that.
Have you seen this clip? This is the clip that should be played. This clip should be played 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on every single corporate, independent, private, left wing, right wing.
Because we have millions.
Do you see right there? It's the exact same location. There you can see Thomas Crooks climbing in. You can see the people being like, "Officer, there he is. Take him out." And now, lo and behold, we can show you here, this was the view that the Secret Service had. This was from the sniper's nest of the official sniper's nest of the Secret Service, who was supposed to be on the roof, according to Josh Hawley, and got down off the roof because it was too hot. Donald Trump. They want to kill Donald Trump. Donald Trump got a bullet to the head because it was too hot. Something stinks here, man. Something stinks. I said it yesterday. I am officially, fully convinced that there was, let me say this in the words of Elon Musk. Gross negligence is indistinguishable from malevolence. If you are stupid enough or you create the conditions for Trump to get shot in the head, you need to be charged. For negligence, manslaughter, because of Corey Compentori's family, deserves someone to say, yeah, it was my fault, and now I'm going to go to jail for life. This person needs to be Kimberly Cheadle and every single other person who allowed this view of Thomas Crooks as he crawled across this roof. Apparently, this took 30 minutes, and you are looking at, I'll stop jumping around, but I'll play you the full video. This is where the Secret Service sniper was. That's the rooftop he crawled up on. We have the video to prove it. Sorry, I'll stop yelling. It makes me so angry. And they're covering something up. And the fall guy, for lack of a better term, is Kimberly Cheadle, who effectively fell on the sword in Congress yesterday to try and shut everything up and shut everyone down. And that's why one of the most important questions yesterday was MTG. Marjorie Taylor Greene looked down the barrel of Kimberly Cheadle and said, is there a government conspiracy to kill Trump? Were you part of the government conspiracy to kill President Trump? I don't need to read her soul. I don't need to read her mind to know that the negligence that allowed for this, we can show you the video of the guy crawling up the roof and people screaming, there's the assassin right there. There he is crawling up the roof. The negligence that allowed for this to happen is indistinguishable from malevolence. They wanted Trump to die. They wanted Trump to die. And they're really sad they missed their shot here. There is no other explanation. So here's MTG asking the right questions of now resigned Kimberly Cheadle as she falls on the sword for the failures of the entire administration. Who was giving her the orders? The person really behind this was Secretary Mayorkas. We all know this. MTG asking the real questions and listen to the room gasp and then actually burst into laughter at the humiliation of the testimony. This is something utterly remarkable. Here we go. MTG asking the right questions. Did the government want Trump dead? Who gave the stand-down order? Watch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cheadle, I'd like to remind you that you're under oath. The site team has a senior supervisor, an advanced team, a protective intelligence team, a counter sniper element, and detail. Who was the agent in charge? How long has she been the agent in charge? And what is her Secret Service background?
So I'm not going to provide a name.
Why not? You're here to answer our questions.
This forum, I'm not going to provide names of.
You stated in your testimony, you said, I am here today to answer your questions.
That is correct.
Answer the question.
I'm not going to provide names of our personnel.
Why not?
Today.
The American people are demanding these answers from you today, Ms. Cheadle.
I will do the best to provide you accurate information based on the facts that I have at this time.
You're not answering our questions. The advance element coordinates with other intel or law enforcement partners, identifies threats and weaknesses at the sites and movements. We'd like a copy of the advance report. Have you brought it here with you today?
We will comply with the request for the documentation that has been requested.
When will that be, Ms. Cheadle? Because you should have brought it today.
I am certain that our personnel are working on obtaining all of that documentation.
I don't believe you, and neither do the people watching this hearing. You're not doing well, as Mr. Moskowitz informed you. You've been sitting here for over 3 hours, and I have you know the entire country is demanding you resign and demanding that you be fired if you do not resign. Things are not going well for you. You need to answer the questions. Was there a protective intelligence team, and what technical resources were utilized for that event, specifically drone or helicopter assets?
There were a number of technical assets that were deployed for that event, and there was a protective intelligence team that was assigned to that event.
Why was Crooks able to fly a drone over the entire area the day of the rally and the day of his assassination attempt?
To my knowledge, he did not fly the drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event...
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
That's shocking. That is absolutely unacceptable. That means you are a failure at your job. Let's talk about things that are prohibited in Trump rallies. And I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. Backpacks and bags. Bicycles, firearms, any type of weapon, or any other item determined to be a potential safety hazard, like a rangefinder would be one. At 5:10, Crooks is first observed by one of the snipers, AGR Sniper 1, at the building. 5:10, President Trump was shot in the face at 6:11 p.m. 5:28, AGR Sniper 1 takes a picture of a bicycle and 2 bags. Those belong to Crooks. 5:32, AGR Sniper 1 spots crooks looking at his phone and using a rangefinder. 5:55, Butler ESU Command confirms receipt of photos and states they have been relayed on. 6:05 p.m., AGR Sniper 1 later communicates that Crooks is seen moving northeast in direction of Sheets and that Crooks has a backpack. 2 minutes before the shooting, while President Trump has been allowed to take the stage, people see Crooks laying on his stomach in a sniper position on the roof, and they're yelling he has a gun, and they are trying to alert law enforcement and Secret Service. Why was Crooks not shot by the snipers? Why was he allowed to be there?
As soon as the individual was identified as a threat, they were...
No. What do you consider to be a threat? A man with a gun laying in a sniper position, a man that had a backpack, a man that had a bicycle, a man that had a rangefinder. At what point is he determined a threat?
An individual with a backpack is not a threat. An individual with a rangefinder is not a threat.
What about a man laying on a building that has direct line of sight of President Trump with a gun that people are screaming and pointing out? Is that a threat, Ms. Cheadle?
Once that individual was identified, they were neutralized.
No, they were neutralized. Crooks was neutralized after he shot President Trump in the face, Ms. Cheadle. Is he only a threat once he fires the weapon?
As soon as the counter sniper identified that individual, they were able to neutralize them.
How were people in the crowd? Okay, then let's just take it this way. People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a threat. That means that you are a complete failure as the director of the Secret Service, that people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president with a gun. They don't perceive that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Ms. Director.
I'm not certain at this time how the information from the people in the crowd was relayed to any law enforcement personnel.
No, you knew, that everyone knew. The people there knew that there was a danger. They knew there was a threat to President Trump, and it was allowed to happen. Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question, but please answer, and then I'll recognize Ms. Presley. Please answer the question. Director.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We are waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Presley.
Jail. She belongs in prison. She belongs in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, just seconds ago, literally seconds ago, President Trump on Truth Social, the Biden-Harris administration did not properly protect me, and it forced me to take a bullet for democracy. It was my great honor to do so. President Trump telling Fox News moments ago, Brooke Sigmund, on the resignation of Director Cheadle. This is the first commentary from President Trump on the resignation. President Trump says, she never gave me proper protection. I ended up having to take a bullet for democracy. President Trump continues talking to Brooke Sigmund, saying many requests were made for on-site Secret Service for more people. It was always turned down. No response. I have the biggest crowd in history, says President Trump to Brooke Sigmund, and it should be treated accordingly. Trump told Fox News big improvements have been made over the last week. At what point does this tip over into a conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen? At what point does it turn into the government wanted Trump dead? These are the questions from yesterday. This was the moment of the day yesterday. Here is our post about Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace, the great member of Congress, friend of the show, who's been on the program before. She's from South Carolina, and an incredible voice for freedom. Our post yesterday about her going savage mode and saying that the director was and I'll just say, so, we try as hard as we can not to swear on the show, but ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's warranted, that the director's testimony was bullshit and full of shit, and I quote. Cheadle admitted in this line of questioning colossal failure, that Trump's assassination was totally preventable, and that her office is leaking to the press to try and protect her. This was the clip of the day with 20 million views just on our social media alone. Nancy Mace, who joins us in a moment, with the absolute, total and complete atomization of this disgraced woman's career, hopefully leading to criminal charges, because what she did is criminal. This is criminal negligence. And by the way, she should be charged with homicide. I've got to let you know, Corey Compatore and his beautiful family reached out to me. I'm not going to disclose the conversation just yet because they are grieving. But Corey Compatore followed us on social media. That beautiful man, father, firefighter, patriot, who shielded his family and took a bullet for President Trump, a bullet that was intended to hit President Trump in the skull, hit Corey Compatore and his beautiful family, who was shielded by his body as he threw them down to the ground to protect them. And we have a fire burning in us, ladies and gentlemen. We got gunpowder in our gut, iron in our spine, and we're going to get justice for this man. Kimberly Cheadle deserves to be in prison for the rest of her life. She should be charged with homicide based on the failures that allowed this man to shoot and kill Corey and shoot and hit the president in the head with a bullet, along with two other members of the rally who are fighting for their lives right now. We pray for them. The news is, though, that they are doing better and well and will survive this. Somebody didn't survive Nancy Mace yesterday. Let me tell you what. Talk about shooting her shot. Nancy Mace had it dialed in. Here we go.
Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been
yes
eager
or
to
no?
come
You didn't
and
want to
talk
answer
to
the question.
committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection to ordered.
Okay. Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay. You say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or no?
I will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Chairman, I want to.
Come on.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how
upset we get. Have you provided any and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on
that. That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. Like you're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging and talking around it in generalities. And we had to subpoena you to be here, and you won't even answer the questions. We have asked you repeatedly to answer our questions. This isn't hard. These are not hard questions. Have you provided us all communications from the Secret Service related to that day and that rally? Have you provided this committee? We've asked for this information on July 15th. Have you provided any of this information that this committee has asked of the Secret Service? Any of it?
I'll have to get back to you.
Have you even read this letter that we sent you? Did you even read this?
Yes.
Okay. And you have said you don't know, you have no idea. Well, the answer is no. We haven't gotten a single document or piece of information or data from you or your agency in related to the rally that we have asked you for. So was this attempted assassination of Donald Trump a failure of training or execution or both?
I think that those are answers that we need to examine.
Training, execution, or both? Which one?
I think those are answers.
All right. How many Secret Service personnel have lost their jobs due to this colossal failure?
At this time, none.
How many Secret Service personnel have been required to take a refresher course on how not to let people shoot Donald Trump?
Our personnel are currently operational. We are examining the facts of this investigation, and we will make the changes necessary.
What time did law enforcement become aware that there was an individual on the roof with a clear line of sight to President Trump?
I am still verifying timelines.
Of course. 9 days in, you have no answers. How many minutes went by between the time law enforcement saw and took photos of crooks and the shooting? How many minutes?
I am still verifying timelines.
57 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Ladies and gentlemen, that clip of Nancy Mace was liked by billionaires, by Elon Musk, by professional athletes like Brett Favre, the entire internet effectively saw this clip, and you could argue that with the 200,000 likes, 51,000 retweets, 32,000 saves, and 7,000 comments with 12 million views, 13 million nearly on that clip alone, that clip was the death knell, the nail in the coffin for Kimberly Cheadle. The brave member of Congress who asked the questions, who arguably led to the resignation of this despicable government bureaucrat who effectively created the conditions for a president to be shot in the head, probably because she didn't like him, but we'll see, is Nancy Mace. And Nancy Mace joins the program live now. Congresswoman, I just want to thank you for what you did yesterday. There were a lot of moments, but you really took it to her. And your line of questioning was so devastating.
Yeah, I was simply saying aloud what every American was thinking in that hearing yesterday. You just saw minute after minute Kim Cheadle dodging, denying, being dishonest with Congress. She refused to answer even the most basic questions. She couldn't even tell us the number of Secret Service agents on site at the rally protecting Donald Trump. This should never happen in America. But with Joe Biden's failure culture, people lie, they deny, and they never get fired. And so obviously we're taking a victory lap today about her resignation. I was willing to force a vote, even against leadership's own will. They didn't want to take this vote, but I forced a vote last night within the next 48 hours to impeach her if she wasn't going to be fired, if she wasn't going to be willing to resign. It's far past time for Congress to actually do something. No more strong letters. Let's take action. And this was a defining moment for our country. You saw Democrats and Republicans alike. Donald Trump is unifying America. And that is better for our country to get us out of the crisis and the chaos we see ourselves in today.
And Congresswoman, you saw her effectively reject your questions outright about the snipers having a bead on the assassin for 50 plus minutes, for an hour. Let's just round it out. So this man was able to crawl, not a particularly athletic or smart man, was able to crawl, get into position, and shoot President Trump with a firearm. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the Congresswoman. He was able to do this.
Okay, are you there?
Yes,
like
I am.
Tapped out. Okay, am I back on? I tapped out for a second.
Yes, we are back on, and we are live.
He
we thank you for.
refused to answer any of my questions. I mean, my stuff was really basic. It was either a yes or a no. When I took it to her about her transparency or lack thereof, she didn't even know, wouldn't admit how long the law enforcement agents knew that the shooter was on site. They had photos of him and knew of his existence for 57 minutes, almost an hour, as you say. And they did nothing. And somebody has to answer for that. But her resignation does not end the investigation. We have to continue on. She can still be subpoenaed and be required to show up before Congress and any special committee that we create in Congress to investigate what happened, because she has to answer for it. And heads should roll. She shouldn't be the only one to resign. We need to overhaul the Secret Service and start over.
Yeah, so you say heads should roll, but it was nearly President Trump's head that was rolling, and that bullet did strike the president in the head. He delivered a successful headshot to the president.
I cannot
and nobody,
hear anything. I apologize. I'm not getting any of the feedback.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So here's what we're gonna do. My producers, let's get the audio set, and we're gonna need to we'll pop off screen here. Pop off screen, and we're going to get the audio set with the Congresswoman and bring her back on when everything is set. We have producers that can take her into the green room, and we will sort it all out and get locked and loaded once again with the Congresswoman, because I really want to hear the follow-up to all of this, which is what happens next, right? What happens next? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a full criminal investigation. We must have a full investigation set up by Congress, presumably. The FBI is going to be doing their own hearing tomorrow, so we'll be covering that. But Congress needs to have its own select committee with the power of the purse, with the phalanx of lawyers armed to the teeth. There needs to be a select committee in Congress. Nancy Mace needs to be on it. Corey Mills, who is a sniper in the military, needs to be on it. And ladies and guys, just bring her back. Bring the Congresswoman back on as soon as we are ready to go with audio. Ladies and gentlemen, the Congresswoman is joining us in a break during a judicial committee hearing, and so the Congresswoman is joining us from effectively a staff committee room in Congress in the Capitol building, and so it's the best that we this is just how we go. Yep. So just lock and load, boys, and just pop the Congresswoman back on when we are set. We need a special. So they got a January 6th select committee, but we can't get a select committee on the president's assassination to find out who knew what when, to find out who gave the orders, to say who said don't fire upon Thomas Crooks as he lazily crawls across a rooftop. Yeah, no, we need to find out. Somebody gave that order. Period. I don't buy the whole I don't have to buy the whole incompetence thing. The snipers that I've spoken with, and the snipers that have either come on this program, we've had Corey Mills, who's a sniper on this program, or snipers who have texted me and my phone has been melting down the last couple of days. Snipers who are in some of the closest people I know are military snipers who trained with the Secret Service. Secret Service is the best, most accurate, sharpest, and best trained snipers on earth. They win every competition. They said, go look it up. There are sniper competitions all around the country. And the armed forces, along with police forces, and along with the Secret Service, go and enter into those competitions. And the Secret Service wins every single time. So somebody said, don't shoot. Somebody said, don't shoot, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to find out. We will. We're going to apply as much pressure as we possibly can for the audience on this show, and we're going to win. Let's go. The great Nancy Mace, Congresswoman, is back with us. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I sure can. Thanks.
Fantastic. So here we go. Next question. You said that it doesn't end with the resignation. That's not your escape card here. No. Do you believe that that criminal negligence and perhaps manslaughter charges, because of course a patriot and a innocent man and a firefighter and a father and a beautiful individual named Corey Confrontation lost his life. The negligence of the Secret Service led to dead Americans at a political rally. You hold political rallies in your district and across America. People should feel safe, right? Going to those. Like, shouldn't there be criminal consequences for the people that led to the mistakes that led to his death?
Depending on how all this went down, when we get the facts, we can make that determination. But criminally right now, I believe that Kim Cheadle can also be held in contempt of Congress. When you come before Congress and you purposely do not answer the questions, we can file a contempt of Congress as criminal charges against her. And I talked with leadership on the Oversight Committee yesterday as being a next step to hold her accountable, because no one's ever fired, no one ever goes away, no one's ever held responsible for their incompetency. And she was at the top. And if anyone else was culpable or involved, then and if the charges are appropriate, then they should be filed as well. We cannot let this go. Being quiet or not answering questions is not a defense. Resigning your job is not a defense. And we can still subpoena her and compel her to come before Congress. If he doesn't show up, that means jail time. We need people to answer our questions. We need people to be honest with Congress so we can get to the bottom of it, overhaul the Secret Service, do whatever we need to do to ensure that we keep Donald Trump safe.
Do you believe that they're going to continue to cooperate with you? It does feel as though for the first time ever, and we had the entire chat saying this, people were very proud of Congress yesterday. I mean, careers were made yesterday. Democrats, Republicans really came together and just laid the pain on this government agency that had failed. And it was a remarkable thing to see. People were very, very proud of you yesterday. It seems like this is an incredible moment to actually fix something and to make an example of someone's failure and maybe improve an entire system. What could happen to Kimberly Cheadle? So you say hold her in contempt. Can you explain what that means? Like what pain could happen? Yeah.
Yes, that is a charge we can bring forward to Kim Cheadle for not answering our questions yesterday in our hearing. You can file a criminal contempt of Congress charges against her. The thing that I want to say, this is particularly true for people who haven't been supporting Donald Trump over the years or even recently, is that this is the man of the moment. This is a very historic time for our country. And he is the guy that is bringing everyone together. And it started with a defiant fist in the air moments after literally taking a bullet for his country. I live in a very purple district. I have independents, I have Democrats, I have Republicans. I have a very diverse political voter base, and everybody in the last 10 days has been remarkable. Everyone has had something to say. It's all been very positive. Even today and yesterday, I've heard from Democrats in my district, from Democrats across the country that feel great pride for being American, seeing how I fought back against the BS yesterday, how Republicans and Democrats are coming together. Donald Trump is the man of the moment. He is the one that is unifying the country and moving this forward, getting us out of the chaos, getting us out of the crisis. And I think this is a real moment for us as Americans. We have to decide what kind of country we're going to be and who our leader is going to take us out of this. And that man is Donald Trump. He's unifying and bringing everybody together. And we're seeing that every single day. That's what you saw yesterday. I saw Democrats that I never thought that would get on board with us, hand-wringing with their frustration over Kim Cheadle and supporting her resignation.
Congresswoman, do you believe that there was somewhere inside of the federal government either designed incompetence in order to make Donald Trump susceptible to a potential assassin, or that there was a plot to create the conditions so that President Trump would get shot? These were questions that were asked yesterday. Cheadle, of course, said nothing, but at some level, paraphrasing Elon Musk, gross negligence is indistinguishable from malevolence.
Right. At this point, there are only two options. It's either incompetence or it's conspiracy. Those are the only two options. Neither of them are good or should make anyone in America feel safe. And so we've got to get to the bottom of it, which is why I'm encouraging doing a special committee, doing the investigations on everything. We need to have Christopher Wray come in. We need the FBI to come in. We need Secretary Mayorkas to come in. If he needs to be impeached again, let's do it over again. I mean, these people are not off the hook. They should not be. But this is the failure culture of the Biden administration. Joe Biden was silent on Kim Cheadle. Kamala Harris, silent on Kim Cheadle. It took me forcing a vote, a privileged motion to impeach Kim Cheadle to get her to resign. This is where we are in America. We need people with strong backbones who are going to stand up and do the right thing for a fellow American. And I need all the help I can get. If folks can go out to nancymace.org, support us. I have been against the establishment for a very long time. They've spent millions of dollars against me in every election. But when we have leadership at the table, when we have conservatives who are willing to stand up, we absolutely can make a difference. And that's what we have done as a country over the last 24 hours. And y'all giving me the courage to keep standing strong and speaking out and being strong, strong force for every American across the country. And I want to say thank you.
Congresswoman, a select committee, right? There was one for January 6th. Why not one for this? Where's Mike Johnson on that? Like, where's the leadership on that? A select committee obviously could get a lot of money, could get a phalanx of lawyers, could have very scary powers that would really get to the bottom of this, presumably.
Right. And we're in the process. I've heard from Johnson, whether it's a select committee or some other type of special committee, he is willing to have a committee come together, both Republicans and Democrats, to continue this investigation. This should not just end with hearings. I'm quite frankly tired of hearings that have no outcomes. I want action. I want people to be fired. I want to overhaul the Secret Service. And I want the American people, more importantly, to get all of the answers to all of their questions. This should never happen in the United States of America. And we need to ensure that it never does again.
Yeah. Okay. So something crazy is how, you brought up Joe Biden not calling for the resignation of Cheadle. Many are speculating about Joe Biden's condition. There are reports that Joe Biden had a horrible medical episode in Las Vegas and caused him to have to emergency go back home. And that so much of what's been going on right now is because Joe Biden isn't present. And Kimberly Cheadle can she even resign when there's not a president to appoint someone else? I mean, these are big constitutional questions. Can you comment on Joe Biden being effectively absent for the last week? No one's seen him. What's going on?
In the military, Benny, they call this AWOL, being absent without leave. He's canceled every event for like the next 9 days. He's slated to now give a speech to the country, I believe, tomorrow night. I'm very curious to hear what he's going to have to say here. I did file a resolution yesterday encouraging the vice president to invoke the 25th Amendment. We know that he's not in charge. We know that he's not the one making the decisions. So who actually is behind the curtain? This is like a Wizard of Oz administration. We don't know who's behind the curtain. We don't know who's in charge. We don't know who's making decisions right now.
So this is the reporting out, and we're going to cover this later in the show, but we might as well just talk about it really quickly here, that Joe Biden suffered something that was akin to stroke-like symptoms in Las Vegas, and yet they're going to still allow him to be president of the United States. Kamala Harris getting anointed without a single vote. Nobody voted for her in 2020. She didn't get a single delegate at the convention. And now the entire party just flipped to Kamala Harris, and they scream at you day and night, Congresswoman, because you're a threat to democracy.
Yeah, no, an anointing. And in fact, it's so ironic here and hypocritical. The same very people, the left, who was accusing the right of being a threat to democracy, we're an assault on democracy, we attack democracy, are literally the ones that are threatening democracy. They are anointing Kamala Harris as if she's royalty. And by the way, the DNC convention rules are an open convention. Nothing is a sure bet at this point, unless they rewrite, as I suspect, they'll rewrite their rules ahead of time before the convention to guarantee that she gets coronated without having to go through a primary, without having to go through an election. She gets coronated to be their nominee. They were the ones that threw Donald Trump off the ballot, literally threw the guy off the ballot because they didn't like him for no constitutional reason whatsoever. And of course, the Supreme Court did their duty and reinstated that and allowed him back on the ballot, as they should have. But the very people who are telling us we're a threat to the democracy are literally the ones acting as if they're a threat to democracy, doing everything that's unconstitutional, that our founders would scoff at and be shocked by their behavior. They're the ones that are doing it. And the other thing that I want to say too, Benny, is that it doesn't matter who Democrats put on the top of the ticket. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, his family, the administration, along with their friends in the mainstream media and the mainstream press, have been covering up his condition, whether it's a stroke, whether it's his mental acuity, his cognitive decline. This is clearly a deeply diminished individual, and they've all been party to the cover-up. They have been lying to the American people. They've been dishonest with the American people. They've been covering up his condition. And now all of a sudden that he's not running for re-election, we're hearing all these stories from behind the scenes from Democrats who have met with him in the last year or two and were deeply disturbed by his behavior. And now all the stories are coming out. Well, they can't hide behind their dishonesty. There's only the truth now. And the American people know they've been lied to. Good luck continuing to defend that behavior, because I think there are two types of people in this world: people who have to be right and those just simply want the truth. And the vast majority of Americans only want honesty and truth from their elected leaders, and they've not been getting it from the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the shooting of President Trump in the head is kind of a last final desperate gasp for a movement that tried to politically assassinate President Trump, tried to assassinate President Trump, tried to legally assassinate President Trump, and they foment their base, calling him Hitler day and night. And what do you expect, right? And then the Secret Service, of course, creates conditions for President Trump to get shot in the head. We loved seeing your questions yesterday. We'd love to see that energy carried forward into a Republican Congress that wins seats, that has the Republican Senate, and has President Trump inside of the White House. You were at the Republican convention, gave an incredible speech. Can you give us sort of a path forward? Will we be able to see more oversight like that from the, I'm going to paraphrase Tim Burchett here, DEI nightmares of the Biden regime?
Well, we're going to have to. And here's the thing. I believe with Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to win even a larger majority in the U.S. House. We will flip the Senate. So my compelling argument here is, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to do as we have always done, which is nothing? What action are we going to take to hold people truly accountable for their behavior? What are we going to do as Republicans to shut down the border and deport those who are here illegally? What are we going to do about the excessive spending of both parties that put us into the inflation nightmare we have today? And what are we going to do to ensure that every American can prosper, work and retire in the greatest nation in the world? How are we going to end the endless wars? How are we going to ensure that we're going to protect women? What are we actually going to do with the supermajority and the power and the opportunity and the great responsibility that we will have as a party to ensure that our leadership is sustainable for years and decades to come? And that is my ask of everyone within our party, every Benny Johnson fan, every person part of the MAGA movement, that we hold our leaders accountable. It's not enough to say what we're going to do and write strong letters. What action are we going to take to make a real difference in the lives of every hardworking American and ensure that we protect our Constitution and our country forever into the future?
Well, I'm just so excited I was so excited to have you on the show today, based on obviously your clip yesterday that just went so thermonuclear. But since we are in a breaking news environment and Cheadle is now gone, and I think you had a huge hand to play in that, just wanted to give you the floor, Congresswoman, and your parting comments to Kim Cheadle, please, if you would.
2 words: good riddance. That's really all I have to say about that. I mean, it's past time. We're 10 days in. She finally resigned, only from pressure of having a privilege motion to impeach her. If she weren't going to be fired, she needed to resign. We'll take a victory lap today. But also, this isn't about me. This isn't about the hearing yesterday. This is about the American people and ensuring that we have elected officials that are working on your behalf, that are taking action that has real results. And I am enormously proud to be a part of that effort to get her out of her position as the director of Secret Service. But we cannot stop there. We need American voices speaking up, encouraging our elected leaders to do the right thing, not just now, but every single time into the future. And I guess, I just want to ask for help and support. Folks can come out and support us at nancymace.org. Our country needs strong leaders now more than ever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nancy Mace's social media here. Please follow Nancy Mace on X. 250, that 250,000 followers. Let's go, baby. We're on our way to 1 million. Nancy Mace from a beautiful actual part of South Carolina, and an amazing part of the country and world, dynamically representing her incredible district, and doing so, making all of us proud. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you, and God bless.
God bless you. All right, baby. You heard it here first. We, of course, are very thankful for our members of Congress joining us when they have, in the middle of committee hearings and in the middle of meetings. We do interviews. Remember, we're live every single day, and we're live every single bit of breaking news, and we are here for you. Nancy Mace, I am being told, was inside of like a corner of a closet inside of a committee hearing room. She so wanted to speak with our audience and lock in with us today. Locked in were members of Congress yesterday. I can't help it. I know we're gonna have a little bit of a late show today, but man, we got so much news to cover. I cannot move off of this topic without playing you Anna Paulina Luna. So MTG did an amazing job. Nancy Mace did an amazing job. How proud are we of these young women who represent us in Congress as a party and a movement? Anna Paulina Luna is somebody who has successfully brought and I say successfully because she got a floor vote for contempt of Congress for Merrick Garland. And Merrick Garland oversees so much of the federal apparatus that has come to be known as effectively a political assassination squad, a legal assassination squad of President Trump. There were people inside of the DOJ that defended the raid of Mar-a-Lago that had a kill order in it. Remember, Merrick Garland sent goons, FBI goon squad into Mar-a-Lago with a kill order for President Trump to create a blue on blue, which is what it's called, a scenario where the Secret Service would effectively try and fight the FBI and shots would be fired. And who knows, maybe they'd get their result there. And they wouldn't have to wait for Thomas Crooks to crawl for an hour on a rooftop with everybody filming him. Who knows? But Merrick Garland gave that order. Now he's been found in contempt of Congress. Anna Paulina Luna got a vote for contempt. That passed. Then there's something called inherent contempt that then lays on massive legal and financial penalties. And Anna Paulina Luna is pushing to get that passed. So this is a very dangerous person to be messing with if you're a bureaucrat. This is one of the first people ever, and she has a military background. This is one of the first people ever that have actually decided to fight the permanent Washington state. And in that fight, she's actually delivering victories. It's incredible. She's a freshman member of Congress, and she's doing more than old fossils who have been there for 50 years. And Godspeed, Anna Paulina Luna. In an incredible clip yesterday, she decided to use the same tactic against Kimberly Cheadle. This was part of the wrench that twisted the screw and finally put it to Kimberly Cheadle, who is, again, resigned as of 1 hour ago. Here's the Anna Paulina Luna clip from yesterday that is just so savage. And also, probably the scariest thing that Kimberly Cheadle heard yesterday, because this has the capacity to destroy someone, a bureaucrat, forever. Watch her work.
Director Cheadle, can you please give me the names of the individuals who are in charge of your con-op for the rally?
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the
today.
titles? And how many individuals?
No.
Nothing?
We had a full advance team that was responsible for advancing
How many
the site.
people are the final approval authority?
There are a number of people
Can you
that
give me a
are
number?
engaged in approving
Can you
the
give
plan.
me a number?
No, I do not have
Okay.
a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation, but in order to dispel conspiracy theories, have you guys been able to subpoena the shooter's Discord records, or has the FBI, to your knowledge?
I believe that the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into
Can
the
you,
shooter.
at least in an effort to dispel conspiracy theories, can you confirm or deny that?
At this time, we do not have that there were any other people engaged.
So you believe he was acting alone?
I do.
Okay. Have you been made aware of multiple eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because according to testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler ESU. And I want to make sure that people are aware, if you're saying that there's not another shooter, that we are able to clear that information, because from this whole entire briefing, it doesn't seem like much information has been able to get out to the American people. So I'm trying to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between the counter sniper teams that were working
Secret
on the
Service
ground.
Present?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Okay, I want to read you a report from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were in attendance and that Secret Service was not in attendance at the security briefing, according to individuals with knowledge, to also include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present. It seems as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Krishnamurthy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a threat, you had said no, they were unaware of a threat. And yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:59 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according to those group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in my opinion, according to some of the testimony today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances, and so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff, and if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating, and I've talked to my colleagues and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that, and I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently. But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected, and we are one of the strongest countries in the world, so you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues. And I also think that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am just completely disgusted by your performance today. And I understand that you're probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington, and I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Just face melting. There's something about Congresswoman Paulina Luna, that is probably military trained, right? Because I think she's done decades in service, and producers, let's check with this. Is she still active? Is she still active? Is she on National Guard, or is she out of the service? There's something about the cool composure that is totally terrifying about Paulina Luna. What an amazing party we have. What an incredible bench we have. What a remarkable moment we're living through. Marjorie Taylor Greene, how impressive. Nancy Mace, how impressive. Anna Paulina Luna, how utterly terrifying. That cool, calm, collected, hitman level, chill that she has. Where she's like, I know how to destroy you, and now I'm making motions to destroy you as you sit in front of me. It's great to see. Some other things that was great to see. We've talked about Democrats on the other side of the aisle just going ham. Just going ballistic on this. We've never seen anything like it. We're going to play you this guy named Ro Khanna. He's this dude from California. He's from a very liberal district. But he represents a ton of Dems who there was, of course, plenty of squeeing over the Second Amendment and stuff. There's some degenerate stupidity on the Democrat side. But by and large, okay, based on everything, it was remarkable to see at least 24 Democrats call for her resignation and really flamethrower her. Here's the best one. Here's Ro Khanna from yesterday.
Do you know what Stuart Knight did when he was in charge at the time of the Secret Service? Do you know what he did afterwards?
He remained on duty.
He resigned. And Stuart Knight was not a Democratic appointee or Republican appointee. Look, I'm not questioning your judgment. I just don't think this is partisan. If you have an assassination attempt on a president, a former president, or a candidate, you need to resign. That's what Stuart Knight did. He was a Republican appointee, and he took responsibility. And I think you need to reflect. This is not a question of you. It's a question of the American people. You cannot go leading a Secret Service agency when there is an assassination attempt on a presidential candidate.
Oh, Jamie Ratskin, as we lovingly call him, actually joined with James Comer. Both of them are chairs of the committee, and they said, you must resign, and now the resignation has happened. There's this incredible member of Congress that we haven't heard much from. His name is Pat Fallon, and he's from the state of Texas. And he said, I got out my AR-15, and I went and did this shot, and I performed this headshot, and I effectively got kill shots on Donald Trump, 15 out of 18 shots. And he presented that information to her in a just savage takedown, which, I mean, again, deserves to be replayed. Here's a small part of it. He says, go back to guarding Doritos because her last job was Pepsi. Go.
You know what else is dangerous? I believe your horrifying ineptitude and your lack of skilled leadership is a disgrace. Your obfuscating today is shameful, and you should be fired immediately and go back to guarding Doritos. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Nice. Dear friend of the show, Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who, of course, has never found himself at a loss for words, said that Kimberly Cheadle is herself a DEI horror story. This was the headline out of the hearing yesterday. This was used across all publications. You are a DEI horror story. Perfect, from Tim Burchett.
Let me ask you one more question. You found explosives in the shooter's possession. Is that correct?
The FBI found explosives.
Do we know who directed this young man how to make those explosives?
I believe that the FBI is still looking into that on their investigation.
Ms. Cheadle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Good for him. Good for him. The great Tim Burchett from the great state of Tennessee. Anna Paulina Luna served in the Air Force from 2009 to 2014. She signed up when she was 19 years old. She met her husband in the Air Force, and she spent a total of 6 years in the military, including 5 on active duty. So just following up on that request for Anna Paulina Luna and her exceptional service in the military. Donald Trump wishes for exceptional service because, of course, it was Donald Trump's head that was in the target of the shooter. President Trump saying, why'd they let the guy on the roof for so long? Like, Trump finally asking the right questions. And since Trump is the presumptive president, we're going to get to some information about Joe and Kamala in just a second here. These are really important questions to ask. Will President Trump immediately put in charge, this is another way to do it, put in charge a special counsel, put a special investigator in charge of this? Was there a government conspiracy to lodge a bullet in my skull? I know as a matter of fact that this is what it looked like right here from the sniper's position for the Secret Service. We've played this clip and we'll play it again. I feel like I should go up to Butler, Pennsylvania. I feel like, boys, we should get in a plane and just go up there ourselves. I have that cooking. We have that cooking. We're having that discussion right after the show. Do you want us to go up to Butler, Pennsylvania and investigate this for ourselves? I want to. I want to go walk around the town, talk to people. I think this deserves the actual Benny Show treatment. We're going to work on it. We owe it to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the shot. I want to go into this room. This was what the Secret Service saw. This was the shot. Thomas Crooks crawled across this roof for 30 minutes. This is easier than the games at the carnivals for little children play, the shooter games. And they didn't take the shot. At some point, we must find out, and President Trump must find out who gave the stand down order. Who said don't kill the assassin because we need him to take the shot. We can cover it all up later. It seems like such a botched operation. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like a botched operation. The people asking where were the second shooters, how many firearms, how many shell casings did you find on the roof? They couldn't answer any of these questions. Had no idea. Was there a shooter on the water tower? I've never heard of that. Oh, it was despicable yesterday. We are a dog with a bone, baby. We are your bulldog. We're dog with a bone. We're not letting go. Sorry. Maybe we'll be on the next flight to Butler, Pennsylvania. This whole thing is pissing me off. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about it. Why they let the shooter sit around for so long and shoot me in the skull? Here we go.
It just shouldn't have been when you have essentially a flat, open roof like that, and it's direct to the target with absolutely nothing in its way. How can somebody be up there? And he was up there for a long period of time because they have tape of him moving all over the place. And then they see him and they don't report him. Who was the policeman or I guess it was local police, who looked at him, saw him standing with a gun? I think the guy saw him and this guy dropped off the roof. And I don't blame him for that. What I do blame him for is why isn't he calling everybody, screaming and saying, there's a guy with a gun up there? What did he do when he dropped off the roof? Did he just go away and say, like, nothing? That's a big factor. Who was he? And why did he do that? Why didn't we know about that? Because I would have, oftentimes, based on weather and based on other things, I'd say, sir, would you wait 10 minutes before you go out, please? We never had a case like this. But certainly if they said, would you wait 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes because we have a possible problem, unlikely but possible, I wish somebody would have done that because Corey would be alive and 2 people that were seriously hurt would not be hurt. And we wouldn't have had all of the things that we've gone through over the last period of time.
And sir, I think it illustrates.
So we have a massive cover-up on our hands. There's going to be an FBI hearing tomorrow. Trouble. We're going to be live. Believe that. Christopher Wray is going to testify. Christopher Wray is the one in charge of the actual crime scene. My team's now rushing to be like, yeah, let's do the trip. We're going to go up to Butler. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we'll bring you what's actually happening on the ground there. It's time for some real truth. We'll go to Butler, and we're going to start to investigate. We already have our producers working on it. It is an active crime scene. How much access can we get? These members of Congress, of course, can crawl all over the place because they have oversight of the FBI, and the FBI really can't, jangle the keys for them. What's going to happen tomorrow is there's going to be an FBI hearing. Make sure I have this right, 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we will be live for that. 10 a.m. tomorrow, there's going to be a full just like they did to Cheadle. Now they're going to go down the line and go to Christopher Wray, who's in charge of this. Will he have more answers? We don't know. We don't even know the shell casing. How many shell casings were there on the roof? She couldn't answer that. How many bullet casings were on the roof? She couldn't answer. Were there second shooters? How many people were firing shots at President Trump? Man. Let's get the info. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. We are hearing information about the threat to the president's life. And while you may think that I was talking about Donald Trump in that comment, I was actually talking about Joe Biden. Something horrible is happening to Joe Biden. And we now have confirmation from some incredible independent reporters that something awful has happened to him, and presumably a stroke. Now, we want to begin by saying this. Never once in the history of this program, or in any of the media that we do, we create like 40, 50 videos a day. Like, never. Because we must do that because we must fight the communists. We have to have the energy to fight the communists. We have to have the mass media to fight the communists. Please like and subscribe to our channels. Like, help grow the capacity for us to tell the truth. Never as we once called for any harm to ever befall any American, including Joe Biden. And so it brings us no joy to do this report. But ladies and gentlemen, we've been right about these things for a long time. I watched the debate, and I have a wife who is a trauma nurse, critical care nurse. My wife has spent a lot of time seeing people who have suffered from strokes or from horrible collapses in their health, body, nervous system. And the first thing my wife said as we were watching the debate was, Joe Biden's had a stroke. Look at the way his face moves. Maybe you and I couldn't see it. But trained medical professionals could. Now, on this program, as soon as we saw that, we predicted it's going to be Kamala. Something's going it's going to be Kamala, and we were right. Joe Biden's going to drop out, and we were right. We were right on time. The Babylon Bee's also been right about a lot of their predictions. Babylon Bee posting, America is just kind of curious that the president's alive. So, is the president alive? This is an important question to ask. Now, as much as the Babylon Bee is very funny, here are members of Congress, deeply respected and beloved. And Lauren Boebert has, I think, millions of followers, 3.5 million followers on X. Lauren Boebert says, I need proof of life of Joe Biden today by 5 o'clock. He needs to get in front of a camera and discuss if he's aware that he dropped out. Hiding is completely unacceptable. What's the precursor to all this? Well, the last time we saw Joe Biden, he was, and this is the video playing right here on your screen, he was barely able to lift his leg up to carry himself down the stairs. And by the way, notice that he has a member of his, you would have to assume is his security detail, right behind him. Have you ever seen that? Nope. Joe Biden takes the stairs by himself. He takes the teeny little short stairs on Air Force One, but he takes them by himself. We were noticing when we saw this clip and we posted on X, something very strange happening. Look at the limberness of Joe Biden's legs. Joe Biden didn't have the capacity to carry himself over a stair. Something awful was happening to Joe Biden, and now we have it confirmed. I'm going to play you one more video from that day. It's a very important video that I think shows this from multiple angles, but it also shows what happens next. Here we go. You're going to hear the roar of the jet engines. Joe Biden, I'm going to make this as big as possible. You can see his security right behind him to catch him in case he falls. You've never seen that before. Then something else happens. Joe Biden, of course, has no limberness in his limbs anymore. He can barely move his legs to the stairs. You can see here, his knees nearly buckle as he collapses. Then Joe Biden goes up to his waiting Secret Service vehicle. The Secret Service vehicle is not a sports car. Watch Joe Biden. He can barely smile. Look at this. Watch this. Joe Biden had a stroke, dude. Look at his face. Look at his face. One of the signs of a stroke is like you paralysis straight down the center of your face. Look at that. You ever seen him smile like that? He's had a crooked ass smile for a long time. He is crooked Biden, but this is something worse. Watch this. If you were doubting before, you won't doubt now. Joe Biden is incapable of lifting his legs into the vehicle. Joe Biden needs his Secret Service to hoist him up and to put him into the car like he was FDR. Look at that. Look. Watch. The clip goes on and on. This is the Secret Service. Look! Right there on your screen. This is the Secret Service picking up his legs. Picking up his legs and putting him in the car. Now, that blackout on the clip, that is from the pool report. Did they make them delete the footage? I don't know. But something's horribly wrong here with Joe Biden. Where was Joe Biden coming from? What exactly was happening? Well, here's Joe Biden at the beginning of that trip. I've just shown you the end of the trip, and the end of the trip is shocking. At the beginning of the trip, here's Joe Biden entering Air Force One. Again, barely able to get his feet up the stairs. Look at the awaiting Secret Service agent they're ready to catch him. Biden with barely enough energy to lift his leg up to step on the Air Force One steps. This was the beginning of that trip. Where was he going? He was going to Las Vegas. President Biden flies to Las Vegas and is set to deliver a speech at this event, okay? Some groveling identity politics event where Joe Biden is trying to desperately shore up the vote for Latinos. And some little lady gets prattled on stage to say Joe Biden will no longer be joining us. He's tested positive for COVID. The reporter that was with Joe Biden, this is called the pool reporter. This is a member of the press corps who's there to just report the facts and stays at the president's side for most of the time. She says that the flight was so violent taking off from Vegas that the plane shook and they were able to get back to the East Coast in 3 hours, which is like damn near impossible. It's like supersonic. The flights from the East Coast to the West Coast, because if you're in Vegas, you're effectively in LA. Well, you're on the West Coast, right? You're effectively in Los Angeles. That should take 6 hours. It took 3 hours. The plane was shaking. Why? What was actually happening? Of course, members of Congress are effectively saying something's wrong with Joe Biden. Big-time donors are saying things are wrong with Joe Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have ALX? Do we have this clip right here? I need this clip. Load it up, please. On MSNBC, and this is before we even knew. Here we go, boys. I got it. Don't you worry about it. I got it. We're ready to rock here. On MSNBC, the reporter goes, when people were asking about Joe Biden, the reporter, in speaking about his family, Joe Biden's brother says, we're going to enjoy the time we have left with Joe Biden. And that caused some of us to scratch our head, because that's not something you normally say. Let's say I was talking to you, and I was like, hey, I talked to ALX, my producer, all day on this program. So let's say I was talking to ALX. ALX doesn't have a girlfriend, okay? Get ready in the chat, okay? The chat's about to blow up. Ask for ALX's number. ALX doesn't have a girlfriend, as far as I know. Is a single bachelor, probably the most eligible bachelor in the entire conservative media ecosystem. So hop in that chat. Get ALX's digits. Let's say ALX was married. And I was like, hey, ALX, how's your wife? And ALX looks at me and he goes, we're going to enjoy the time we have left. I'd probably call the cops. I like ALX a lot. I'd probably call the cops. Not a thing you'd normally say about your wife. Not a thing. Producer Robbie has a wife. Just got married. Producer Robbie has a wife. Hey, Robbie, how's your wife? We're going to enjoy the time we have left with her. You know what I mean? What? That's a weird thing to say about someone. I'd call the cops. Yet, listen to this quote from the Biden family after he returned from Vegas. Does this sound normal to you?
Conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self.
Enjoy what now? Let's just play that. Let's play that back.
He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left.
Okay. Not something you say about a healthy person. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, the entire story's broken open. And now we know something that we didn't know when we began to ask questions about this. Ladies and gentlemen, something horrible happened to Joe Biden in Las Vegas, and it is being covered up right now. According to law enforcement sources, Joe Biden suffered something akin to a stroke. Exclusive, President Biden suffered an undisclosed medical emergency during his time in Las Vegas, police sources say. This was a photo of Joe Biden in Vegas, one of the last photos of Joe Biden. Does he look healthy to you? No, man. Something's horribly wrong with this guy. Like, he looks like Joe Biden always looked bad, but he looks terrible here. ALX, most eligible bachelor in conservative media. Grab me that footage of Joe Biden like roaming around that little Mexican restaurant. There's like this footage of Joe Biden right before they said, "Oh, he has COVID," where Joe Biden's at this Mexican restaurant in Vegas, and he, woof, man, something's wrong with this dude. Okay, so this started with the great Charlie Kirk saying, "I've got a weird lead where the Vegas Police Department is telling me that they were prepared to medevac Joe Biden based on a severe medical emergency to the local hospital. And in fact, the police were called in to block all these roads leading to the hospital so that they could burn rubber down the street to get Joe Biden to the hospital as quickly as possible." The dossier, obtained by independent testimony of over half a dozen law enforcement officers, so this is the reporting now that validates the sources of Charlie Kirk, participated in the president's security detail. Officers spoke firsthand knowledge of the incident unfolded. For the story, we work with Turning Point Action to secure testimony of several sources and vet their legitimacy. Officers working the president's detail described that, listen closely, Wednesday, a week ago, all right, approximately 1 week ago, was very chaotic. Joe Biden was already way behind schedule before the incident. Several sources said that things went really haywire after he had been present at a famed local Mexican restaurant called Lindo Mohican, where he was doing the rounds, shaking hands, and greeting people. Hey, Alexa, we have that footage? Here we go. I just want to show you this because I want you to see the full timeline here. Unlike the Secret Service, I'll show you the timeline. So so here is Joe Biden greeting people, like just whispering. Okay, so this is all we have of this. I actually saw this clip of a like far more feeble than normal Joe Biden. The Joe Biden falling up the stairs and down the stairs. This is something I really want to touch on this very quickly. Joe Biden going up and down the stairs, you've seen a lot of that, okay? You've seen Joe Biden going up and down the stairs, like a million clips of it, okay? Joe Biden going up and down the stairs in this scenario is not like Joe Biden falling down the stairs in other scenarios. I just want to put a pin in this. Joe Biden has this weird little like jog that he does. You've probably seen it, where he's like trying to prove how in shape he is and how fit he is, and he does this goofy little like paraplegic jog. This creepy little old man jog. All right. This wasn't this. Joe Biden falls down the stairs because he's trying to be too active and trying to show how much vigor he has. This staircase climb is entirely different. This is Joe Biden being incapable of moving his limbs. That's what this is. This isn't like an over-energetic, like kind of smooth-brained Joe Biden, like trying to show how much vigor he has, do his teeny little jog step thing. This is totally different. His limbs aren't working anymore. Something's wrong. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back here to where Joe Biden was and what was going on. Suddenly, maybe this is why we have no footage of inside of that. If anybody can find it, it's ALX. But that's the only footage I saw of Joe Biden creeping through the restaurant. So here's Joe Biden. Here we go. Here's Joe Biden creeping through the restaurant. All right. Suddenly, Joe Biden has an episode. Something happens. And Joe Biden begins to collapse. And then, get a load of this. Here's what happened next. He was supposed to be delivering a speech at Unidos US, and then all hell broke loose. We played you that clip of the lady having to trot on stage and say Joe Biden's not coming. Several law enforcement officers on duty that day were informed over the radio that the president was dealing with an unspecified medical emergency. Far from a case of the sniffles, this sent out an encrypted police airwaves as if something akin to a 5-alarm fire had broken out. Our sources estimate that this was easily hundreds of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police officers that heard this broadcast live. So it's curious that the media shouldn't have a problem reporting any follow-ups to the story. The dispatches made clear that this was much more than just a change of plans or Joe Biden catching a cold. because it set in motion so much of their on-duty emergency response apparatus. Radio dispatchers responsible for coordinating the president's detail requested an immediate surge of law enforcement officers into the area, both to secure the vicinity and to expedite the president's movement. According to these law enforcement sources, the president's motorcade was initially planning to head to the University Medical Center, which was located about 2 miles up the road from the president's position. Police answered the call, rapidly deploying their in-the-box emergency squads to block traffic, right? To box out traffic. While researching for this story, we found that a local NBC News affiliate, KSNV, confirmed that this was happening. Without much publicity, they said that the medical teams were on emergency standby and alerted to a possible medical issue of Joe Biden Wednesday afternoon when he was visiting Southern Nevada. This is amazing. Do we have that clip loaded? I'd love to play that. But the president's team decided not to bring him to the hospital. The plans changed rapidly. They relayed over the duty to on-duty officers that they were going to now head the express route to Harry Reid International Airport, where Air Force One was waiting. The police assigned to the president's detail had emergency in-the-box squads then redeployed to the interstate to get him out as fast as humanly possible. The reporter on the plane, her name's Emily Gooden of the Daily Mail, said that the journey back east, Air Force One flew so fast that the plane shook. The plane was shaking the entire time. Several officers we spoke to said that this indeed being reported and acted upon was a full-blown medical emergency, insisting that a simple positive COVID-19 test would not have warranted such a drastic, massive response. Wow. So there we go. Something awful has happened to Joe Biden. Do we have that local news clip? Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and pop that up just to give the extra confirmation here, ladies and gentlemen, that this is something that was seen and known by local reporters before it got shut down as fast as possible on a corporate level.
Well, Dana and Marie, the response here, very swift. The hospital receiving an alert at around 2:15 this afternoon about a possible medical issue with the president not involving trauma. Of course, as we know, the president did not come here to UMC behind me, but team members were ready to go on high alert. From the medical staff along with law enforcement, we saw outside the trauma center this afternoon, just waiting in case the president did arrive. Now, we did see law enforcement appearing to secure the perimeter as well as bring in a dog. I spoke with CEO Mason Van Howling less than an hour ago. He tells me the Level 1 Trauma Center is ready for these types of emergencies, including one that could be with the president. From working with law enforcement partners to their team members, Van Howling tells me the hospital adjusted within minutes from trauma to a medical one, which means having imaging as well as lab procedures ready instead of surgeons, x-rays, and CTs. The hospital remained in contact with President Biden's security team with updates to make sure they were ready in case something else happened. But as we know, he did take off and left Las Vegas.
Wow. And then lo and behold, Joe Biden disappears. And nobody's seen him since. The last thing we saw was Joe Biden being incapable of moving his legs and having to get FDR'd, meaning hoisted by the Secret Service into an awaiting vehicle because he was so incapacitated. Joe Biden smiling with a crooked smile as though like half his face couldn't be used. And then the next thing we hear from Biden is right here. Not a statement, not a video. The most important and historic announcement, well, certainly in my lifetime, right? This is a very big thing. We hear that Joe Biden is gone. He's gone. Just pecked out a little letter here. And then he signed it. With, well, something that sure as hell doesn't look like his signature. I'm no master at Joe Biden's signatures. But I can tell you what, Joe Biden's never underlined a signature before. And it sure as hell, especially for such an important thing, probably the most important thing Joe Biden's ever signed. I mean, am I wrong? I'm just here to report what the internet's saying. Here's his signature. Here's Joe Biden's signatures all the way through all the way through July, right, on executive orders. And then suddenly we got this like weird scribble of Joe Biden. The strange scribble and an underline that, of course, we've never seen before. What's going on? Boy, looks like ballots in Fulton County, right? What the hell is this? Everybody's saying, wait a second, we haven't heard or seen Joe Biden. Something terrible is happening to the guy. And even like you really think that Joe Biden, cretin that he is, if he really did truly decide not to run, that he wouldn't have taken to the news cameras to like make his little announcement to talk about how great he is? Now, apparently, there's breaking news that Joe Biden will give an address tomorrow night. We'll, of course, be live for that. That Joe Biden's giving an address tomorrow night. But these are the questions that are being asked. President Trump on Truth Social saying, does anybody really believe that Joe Biden had COVID? Nope. Does anybody really believe that Joe Biden had COVID? Donald Trump following that up. Just such a legend. It's not over. Tomorrow, crooked Joe Biden's going to wake up and forget that he dropped out of the race. Troller in chief. So yeah, I mean, it really is worth asking. Joe Biden endorsed Kamala. Does he know that? What's going on here? Kamala's already stepped in and is doing Joe Biden's duties for him. Stepping in at the White House. Saying, effectively, we're so excited. We're so excited for this moment for me. This is what Kamala Harris was saying at the White House yesterday. And then we're going to get into this really creepy thing that happened where Kamala Harris talked to Joe Biden. But she called it a recording. We'll let you decide. Here's Kamala Harris at the White House yesterday. If you think things are getting better here, they aren't. And if you think this was planned, it wasn't, I don't think. I don't think it was planned to go down this way. I think it was planned. They were going to push it. I think it was planned to go down a little bit later. I think Joe Biden, I know as a matter of fact, Joe Biden had a horrible medical emergency. And that facilitated the dropout. The dropout was going to happen. We predicted that on the show. But it wasn't supposed to happen this way. They had to lock things into high gear because Joe Biden has suffered some type of terrible medical emergency. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Will it be live? Damn well better be live. Better not be some pre-recorded thing. Apparently it's going to be from the Oval Office. So we will know. Skepticism can never be wrong, however. We are skeptics. We can't be wrong. We have a right to ask questions. It's our moral duty to ask questions. Kamala Harris asked a question yesterday, or made a demand yesterday at the White House. She demanded that everybody clap for her. Who's been predicting this? Here's Kamala from the White House.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap.
All right, well, Donald Trump beat another doofus who said, please clap. Kamala Harris, who said, please clap a number of times. It's really funny. Donald Trump beat another Jeb Bush. Remember, please clap, Jeb? This was Kamala Harris's first little creepy, clompy address at the White House since this has all happened. And then Kamala Harris got on a plane and flew in an unplanned trip to Delaware. What was she doing there? Well, they had to mask the trip. Of course, Kamala Harris went and visited whatever's happening to Joe Biden. Whatever's going on with Joe, Kamala Harris went and saw and was briefed about what's going on. That's why Kamala Harris was in Delaware. But Kamala Harris went to go to mask the real purpose of the trip. They shoved her into the campaign headquarters there in Wilmington. And during that event, Joe Biden allegedly called in and spoke with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, however, gave this extremely strange introduction to Joe Biden, saying it's very nice to hear you on this recording. Oh, got it. Here we go.
Thank you all. Thank you. Can we just give it up again for my husband? It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do. Everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe. So, Joe.
I'm watching you from heaven? What do you mean? There's this amazing tweet up this morning. And I just watched Toy Story with my kids for the first time. I'm not sure they really got it. Toy Story is such a wonderful movie. It holds up so beautifully. This was, of course, before Pixar was bought by Disney. And then, of course, they go on to ruin it. Remember this scene? I'm sure you've seen Toy Story. Where Buzz is totally incapacitated and having a total mental breakdown. And so, like, Woody takes his arm and is like acting as though he's Buzz, right? Hey, good job, buddy. We're having a great time over here in Sid's room. Hey, they realize that he's just using his decapitated arm as a husk to try and trick him. Man, that's what this moment feels like, doesn't it? Oh man, it feels super creepy. Something dark, something weird is going on. Something dark is going on here. Yeah. This is the moment, though. You can see it in Kamala's expression. Let me load this as a play-beside, please. This is the moment. You can see it in Kamala's expression when Joe Biden talks with her, and you could hear her say, "It's so great to have you here on the phone call." Not ready for prime time. They weren't planning on doing it this way. Something awful happened.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid.
You can see it. You can see it. No matter how much acting these people do. I don't know how much they try and hide. You can see it in her expression. I know you're still look at this one. Come on, ladies. Ladies, what's happening here? Is Kamala Harris really actually happy that Joe Biden is still with us? Really? Really? I wish no ill will or anything bad to happen to any American ever, no matter how much I disagree with them. I want every American to live happy, peaceful, healthy lives. But Kamala Harris, something dark is happening. Something evil is happening here. Something dark's happening to Joe Biden. Man, look at this. Kamala Harris saying, "I knew you were still here." Look at that. Is that actual happiness? Do you see it? No, it's not happiness. That's not happiness. You don't have to be a student in human.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
Okay. So, yeah. What did Democrats have to say about Joe Biden's health? You know that you've actually made a dent when places like CNN are asking some of the Democrats that are closest to Joe Biden, including the senator that took his Senate seat in Delaware, a guy named Chris Coons. Creepy little man. He let Joe Biden sniff his daughter's hair on camera. That's this guy. You know it's bad when CNN goes, "Are you covering up Joe Biden's horrible health condition?" This was a question asked on CNN yesterday. "Oh, Benny, you're so crazy with all these crackpot reports." All right, fine. Here's CNN for you, libs. Go.
Kamala Harris knew that President Biden wasn't up to 4 more years. I mean, they would say that about you, I think, as well. And they're going to allege a cover-up. They're going to say she knew, she covered it up. How do you answer that charge, considering what we have seen transpire over the last month?
First, I think it's BS. Second, I don't think it's particularly relevant, because what the American people are going to be looking at in November is Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. And that is a fundamentally different race going forward, and a different electoral challenge, and a different direction for the American people.
Cool. Cool. Great job, guys. Great job. Number one search trend right now on Google. Is Joe Biden alive? Is Joe Biden alive? You know, it is Joe Biden, so you're going to have little spikes. You're going to have spikes here and there. And then there's today. Shoop. Where's Joe Biden? You know, what is happening here? What do they have cooked up? Was this a coup? Did we witness a literal coup where our elites just decided who was going to be president? None of us got to vote. How fraudulent is this entire system? And most importantly, I guess, what happens next? What happens next is we need to elect President Trump. There is a way to actually fix this. We have some polling here that is pretty bad for Kamala. If you guys could send that, there's some really, really bad. There's some reasons to be happy about this. I don't think this is happening the way that they all planned. And I guess we'll see tomorrow night President Biden live inside of the Oval Office. What will he tell us? What will he look like? Has he had a stroke? I want to talk just really briefly here because I spoke to two medical experts about what may have happened to Joe Biden, given the evidence, before going live today. TIA is called a transient ischemic attack. Transient ischemic attack, known as a mini stroke, is a medical emergency that occurs when blood flow to the brain is temporarily blocked. The blockage causes lack of oxygen to the brain, and it can result in sudden symptoms that are similar to a stroke. The transient ischemic attack symptoms usually fade after about 24 hours, but it's very severe, and it's very, very scary. Here we go. The blood flow is clotted, and we know that Joe Biden has a long history of aneurysms in the brain and really scary stuff happening to him from a health perspective. So was this the moment, ladies and gentlemen? We'll see. We'll see. Polling, boys. What do we got here? Multiple polls taken after Biden dropped out reveals the state of the race. Kamala Harris and Trump. Kamala Harris not doing great. If they thought that this was some type of massive W to get Kamala Harris in there, I don't think so. This is a time when everybody's dropping their DEI programs, even companies like Microsoft, the wokest companies on earth, the companies that created DEI. Yeah, I don't think so. Scroll on down here, Eric. Thank you. Several polls has Trump beating Kamala, some by 10 points. So Forbes, Harris, X, 50%. Scroll on down to the infographic there. Eric, thank you so much. Quinnipiac, Donald Trump up by 5, up by nearly 10, and up by 3 in the morning consult poll. We'll see what happens next. I see some devastating polling for Kamala in swing states. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is the state of the race thus far. We'll wait and see. But it's worth asking the questions. Joe Biden said for weeks, Joe Biden said that Christ himself, and I am paraphrasing, I'm a simple Christian, I believe in the Bible, I don't wish to blaspheme on this program, I will never blaspheme on this program, but I am paraphrasing Joe Biden when he says Christ himself could return and I wouldn't drop out of the race. Really? That guy that continues to say and was tweeting as of this weekend, in fact, 24 hours before Joe Biden dropped out, he tweeted, I am the Democrat nominee. I am staying in the race. I will beat Donald Trump. That's what he tweeted. That guy who insisted time and time again that he wasn't dropping out of the race and that no one, including God, could get him out of the race, that guy drops out on a whim like that. Super weird signature. Doesn't match his signature. After being incapable of moving his own body into a vehicle in the dark of night, and nobody's seen him for a week. Yeah. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And then Kamala just gets by affirmation, without anybody asking a single question, and the media have gone into a hyperdrive to protect Kamala, without the media asking a single question, everybody's like, oh yeah, this is normal. No, it's not normal. And we're not going to apologize for like stating that live. It's not normal. But there is something that we are forced to do now. There's something very important that we have to do. Multiple members of the Benny Brigade have brought this up to us, and we read the chat, we follow the chat, we understand the chat, we vibe with the chat, and we listen, most importantly, to you. You have made it clear that we have committed a terrible error on this program over the last day of broadcasting, which is to keep our Joe Biden versus Donald Trump sign up in the background here above our Donald Trump mugshot, which will most likely never leave the studio. And so, following the energy and the power of a performance that we saw at the RNC convention, which is this month.
They took
right
a
here.
shot at my hero. And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, because we wish to take that energy into the studio with us, and through the election, we ourselves will do our own version of a Hulk Hogan with our sign that is outdated now in the studio. I don't believe that I'm strong enough to rip my shirt, nor would you like to see what's underneath it. But I believe that we can rip this sign. So let's go, baby. Here we go. Hulkamania, Trumpomania is gonna run wild on you, brother. What you gonna do? There it is. Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. No more. Done 100,000 lives on Joe Biden. We've warned you that they were going to do this. And if you've been watching this show, ladies and gentlemen, you know. And you knew before it all happened. So we thank you. We say bless you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for giving us the energy to carry forward and to run wild on the people who wish assassination on our president, to destroy populism, nationalism, who hate this country, who stand for, well, virtually everything that we're against. And now they have decided to let everybody know that democracy means absolutely nothing to them. The will of the people, of course, mean nothing to them. That they are effectively in charge, and they can just swap out their candidates whenever they wish. They press the button, Joe Biden's gone, just forgotten about. Nobody even cares about Joe Biden. It's like Joe Biden never even happened to these people. They're a godless lot. They don't deserve your vote. They don't deserve to lead. They don't have the morals, the value system that is required to make this great nation great once more. We encourage you, much like us, to carry that energy through to November and to elect a guy who is willing to take a bullet for you, take a bullet for what he believes in. And we are profoundly proud to stand here today. Thankful for you and thankful for this moment. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I've seen the comment section saying, Benny, please don't rip your shirt off. Yes, I promise you I won't. I assure you, I won't. We'll call it Benny. We'll call this Benny Mania. Yeah, right. All right. Hulk Hogan doesn't live too far away. Hopefully we can get the Hulkster on the program. We would love that. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go here, our verse of the day for you, bringing that energy. Let's rock and roll from 1 Corinthians 15:21. For since death came through man, the resurrection of the dead also comes through man. And now it is time for us to understand that resurrection and the defeat of death is something that Christ himself has done. Christ became God incarnate on this earth and proved that the final consequence that can happen to you here, death, that Christ has resurrected and defeated it. So, like, what can they do to you? Like, they can do nothing. That's why we march together as happy warriors to defeat that which is evil. And remember, if you're not on the wavelength yet, you got to be on that wavelength. It's a spiritual battle that we're fighting. Good versus evil. It's a spiritual battle that we're fighting. Good versus evil. And so make sure that you put on the full armor. Make sure you state every single morning when you look in the mirror, Christ is King. And join us, ladies and gentlemen, the Benny Brigade, as we march forward to victory. Boy, it's going to be awesome. It's your boy Benny. See ya.